How we doing, everyone? Mark Joe Szymanski, owner and founder of Find It Tech, here with you today. I just want to talk real quick. I don't plan for this video to go very long, but it is an important thing that I want to document here specifically on this channel because it has a lot to do with web development. That's the principal concept that I'm going to be chatting about here. And let me start with how it came to mind. I'm signed up for like the SureCart. If you haven't heard of SureCart, you should check it out. It's an interesting platform. From my understanding, it is slated to be almost like a replacement for WooCommerce. It's different, but it's still accomplishing the same thing. It's a e-commerce platform for WordPress. There's a lot of cool things that are being announced with it, and the one of the founders, or the main promoter of it, Adam from WP Crafter. I've watched a ton of content from him over the years. He's been a great influence on me in the world of WordPress. He is promoting this platform, and there's some beta testers, and like you can get an early edition of the plugin and you can test it out. I admittedly haven't had a ton of time to test it out specifically on a WordPress website, but I am in the Facebook group and I've been seeing the comments and different things like that. So this video isn't specifically about SureCart, but it's about a video that I just popped up in my feed, kind of comparing the two and talking about them. And one point specifically that relates to that use case, but also many other things. And I hate this notion, or this, it's like a weird thing in the WordPress community from everything that I've seen. I know a decent amount of people that develop in WordPress, and I know people that make content with WordPress as the kind of the centerfold of their their learning content here on YouTube. And I just, it's a weird thing because I always hear this term like stuff gets technical, or like with Adam, for example, on WP Crafter, he says, like, I think his tagline is WordPress for non-techies. And in this video that I was watching, they were saying something about, they were describing SureCart, and then they were saying that you might need a developer, not for SureCart or whatever, but for like extra things that you'd want to do if you had WooCommerce and you wanted to set up different hosting or stuff like that, because that was one of the things, is SureCart is headless and WooCommerce like does all the work on your site. I just think that it's a little, I just don't really like the direction and the frame of mind that people have around like WordPress stuff, because as I would say a pretty experienced WordPress developer at this point, I'm not writing code or anything. I mean, occasionally you obviously write CSS and you might have to tweak some different things and the functions, PHP and stuff like that, some snippets or whatever. I'm not developing, but you still have to know what's going on. I just don't like the idea that you don't have to understand exactly how to write PHP and stuff like that, but you should still understand like technically how things like are working together and stuff. And maybe I'm misinterpreting, but the other part of it actually that it takes a little deeper and is specific to the point that I heard on there, is I know that conversation was revolving around like not developing the website. And developing a website is only a part of it. Like, I wouldn't want to work with somebody who says they build websites if they don't know like what hosting is and how to like link domains in like different ways and do different things like that. That is where I think that maybe it just hasn't been uncovered yet, but some sort of shift, I feel, kind of needs to take place there, because it's a real thing that I've kind of not realized until now. A lot of people making WordPress content and seem like we build websites and stuff like that. It's like, I hate how blasé people have become about, we build websites. It's like, yes, these tools are incredible. Shopify, WordPress, Wix. It's incredible how much they've been able to encapsulate and take basically make drag and drop tools, code drag and drop tools to make a website. It's incredible. It's definitely a huge, there's so much upside to all of it. But you're not going to get away from like the core tenets of how the internet works, like domain registrar, domain DNS stuff, any sort of hosting, right? Like the difference between shared hosting and cloud hosting. Like, I just made a video talking about Cloudways, and it's amazing what they've been able to encapsulate. Like, you don't have to do, like coding to set up a server or anything like that, but you still need to understand the concepts. So this is why I'm not like hating on anybody that's doing stuff. Do talk about whatever you want, do whatever you want. But the thing that I always get a little bit concerned of, and regardless of what it is, and we're just specifically talking about like the WordPress and the community and environment of this internet building websites culture, is I do believe though that there's a point where we encapsulate everything too much, and the attitude changes to such a degree that we know we're losing track of like the actual fundamentals, right? And I bet you that a lot of software developers kind of look at WordPress already in a sense of like, you guys aren't creating anything, like the tools are already there and you're just piecing things together. I mean, I understand that to a certain degree, but they didn't create the coding language either. So I mean, it can just keep going back and back. But the point is that I just the easy way to do something is always going to be behind the actual thing that gets the job done. So for example, everything that you can do within the Elementor UI, you could do with CSS, or you could do with code or whatever. But I just want to limit the thesis of this is I want to limit the amount of people that go into like the Elementor UI and they say, oh, I don't have an option to put a text stroke on this text, right? And then they're like, oh, I can't do it. It's like, that is not really where we want to go. It's like these tools are to make things easier, not to make it so you think that you can't do something just because the tool doesn't allow it, right? So that's the thing that like, I don't consider myself like a software developer by any stretch of the imagination, but I think you should be somewhat technical, and you shouldn't disregard the technical nature that is right underneath the hood of the things that you're doing, right? So again, the tools are to make it easier. They're not to like abandon the techiness or to make it so you think that you can't be technical or you shouldn't be technical. And again, maybe people just don't want to be technical. That's fine, whatever. But that's just the one problem that I have specifically. I've seen it in multiple cases where people just, it's a weird thing. You don't need to know how to do everything, but that part specifically starts to rub me the wrong way a little bit, because those pieces are still vital. And again, I'm going to reference that Cloudways video. Like just that small thing of me doing the research and understanding like the technical nature between shared hosting and cloud hosting completely changed the way that I build websites and what I'm able to do, and the power that the business, like the core of the business, technically has. So I wouldn't advocate for like non-technical thing. And one more thing I'm going to add here, because I kind of lost this example or this point throughout this discussion, is because as soon as I heard it, I was like, I would never, as a client, knowing what I know, which is understandable, it's a different situation because I've been in this for a little bit, but as a client, I can believe that there are people, but as a client, okay, let's say I was a client, knowing what I know, I would not want somebody that doesn't understand like WordPress more at its core. And again, not the PHP, but like the functionality and stuff like that. I wouldn't want them building my website. Just like I wouldn't want somebody that just pops in and create Shopify sites to build a Shopify site. Like, you don't need to understand how Shopify works necessarily, like at its core, but you should understand like the tools that kind of integrate with it, and always try to be getting better in that regard. I just feel like that's more of a fly-by-night type thing. It's not somebody that's like really invested in the platform and what the platform can do, and like all of the different aspects that come together there. And again, people are at different stages. I understand. I'm not saying you need to know everything at this time, right? But I would at least say, again, the direction that we're headed should be that these things are making it easier, and we don't need to like just disregard the information that's lying underneath entirely, because WordPress is still kind of complicated. Like, there's a lot of stuff built right into it, and if you don't understand how things work, or like a beautiful simple example, and we'll wrap up here, as just like one thing is, if you don't understand like custom, like how posts work, like there was a long time I didn't understand how custom post types work. And I don't know why that's not like the first thing that people talk about, because that is a way that the plugin specifically was able to take one piece. Like, I don't know why that's not built in directly to WordPress at this point, but like the posts thing, I was like using the posts widget, or the posts section of WordPress to like, I was like, how can I make like different things? Like, posts are like blogs, right? But I don't want everything to be a blog. So I was categorizing things as different post types, which effectively what I found was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But like, why that isn't like, that's like a core tenet that people don't understand. So I'm all over the place sort of with this conversation, but again, I think there's very core things that if you're not seeking a way to kind of like work through those and find solutions for and get that information, and instead you're just thinking, oh, I'm just going to throw up a WordPress website and I'm going to put some pictures and some text on it and stuff like that. I don't know how you could fashion yourself as like a web design agency or web development agency. And again, do whatever you want. I'm just saying that's not, that does, I don't understand how that would inspire confidence in your clients when you can't answer the questions, because they're going to have those questions. It's like, that was the first project that I had. I needed to figure out how to do like articles and newsletters and this all in like one thing. And I was like categorizing them. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So again, if you're new, just take it one step at a time and just try to keep that in thought. And I would say, don't think of yourself as a non-techie is really a great way to put it. Like, it's not that complicated, and you don't need to know PHP code, but you should understand how pieces work together and how the system works and how domain and host, you need to understand those. If you want to have a website development company, you have to set that up. If you want WordPress.org, like level stuff where you can take this website and put it on other things. And if we just, as a community, if we don't embrace that this is still all the pieces working together like that and the technical nature behind it, I just think that we're doing ourselves and our clients and everybody else a disservice, because, again, encapsulation is great and making things easier is fantastic, but let's not, put ourselves in like a weird position where it's like we can only do certain things or, whatever. Like, let's not limit ourselves, okay, just because we're afraid of the term technical or whatever the case may be. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, but I would be greatly appreciative if any of you guys had any comments on this. If you think I'm totally wrong, if you kind of agree, if you have some different opinions, I'm always open for discussion, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But those are my thoughts just based off of the things that I've seen specifically recently and over the course of my WordPress web development career. But so thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll talk to you in the next one.